Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me tonight is Matthew, as Ryan has chuffed off overseas for a few weeks. So the next few weeks, it's just you and me, Matty. How you doing?
Good, Kane. Good. Pretty busy weekend, this one, which will segue nicely into tonight's topic. Let's watch this. So yesterday it was the swimming. We had to duck over to the old house to get the neighbours to sign some forms for the council, then off to the butcher, then back to the house to the other neighbours. They weren't home. Then I was off to vote. Back home, picked up to go and watch Nia play her netball game, then back to the school for me, to Kim to vote. Then back home, we had a little bit of a election party last night. Probably a couple too many beers. Then this morning, up early for a party for Eloise. She's turning 4 this week, so we had a little party in the park this morning. Then some bike riding and a family walk in the afternoon. So far cry from what it may have been pre-children.
Well, yeah, indeed, that is something we're going to discuss tonight, Matthew. And for people out there, this is a fairly live podcast. The Liberals did win the election, or the coalition won the election. So, yep, that happened on Saturday, and this will be going live out on the Monday. But you mentioned a few beers there, Matty, and that is another really good segue into what we're going to discuss tonight, which is things which change when you have a child. Now, my better half was corresponding via Facebook with one of her friends in London, who is 2 days overdue. And it got us thinking, what is in store for her when her boy or girl pops into the world in, I guess the next week or so? So yeah, we're just having a think about things which changed when we had a child. And one thing which would have changed, Matthew, was the ability to have probably one too many beers.
That was a big change. Yeah, so there are so many changes which we'll discuss tonight in so many areas of life, but beer drinking is one of them. So, gone are the days where you could, have a really big night and finish post, say, midnight. If I do that these days, it's probably maybe twice a year, a 30 June party and then maybe a Christmas party. And boy, do I pay for it over the next couple of days. So, and even though my kids are, 1, 4 and turning 7, so they're a little bit older than, say, a brand newborn that your friend's about to experience, it's still just as bad. The sleepless, you're getting in late and then you're getting up early, and yeah, it just takes its toll. So I said to Kim this morning, even though, look, I say I had too many beers, I had 3 Asahis and two glasses of champagne, which is not a lot at all, really. But even this morning felt a bit hazy. I think I've lost the ability to drink, and that's probably because I've got 3 kids.
Well, it is, and part of that is not being able to sleep in. There's no sleep-ins anymore. They disappear. Kids are up at 6, 7, maybe even before that some days. So another thing you lose is sleep, especially when you have a newborn, and eventually you'll come out of that and your kids will start to sleep better, but you never, ever, ever get a sleep in. Maybe when your kids turn 15 and, you have to pretty much kick them in the backside to get them out of bed. But until that time, 6 or 7's a luxury. If they sleep till 7, that's a luxury.
That is a luxury. Never, never, ever again. That is 100% correct, Kane. Never again. I haven't had a sleep in for many years. And even, if Kim and I go away for a weekend, you lose the ability to sleep in because your body is just adjusted to whatever time the kids sort of wake up. So even if you get that chance, you still don't get it.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, like even the ability to up and go away for a weekend. Like it was a beautiful weekend down here in Melbourne. You probably couldn't have had a better weekend, to be honest, on the cusp of winter. It was sort of 2021 down here. The sun was out. It wasn't windy. It would have been a perfect opportunity to go away for the weekend. And if we were kidless, we would have just packed up and gone away for, left it on the Friday night and come back on the Sunday night. You can't really do that with kids. It's by the time you pack everything up, unpack it at a location, you lose the best part of half a day. Like every time we go away, there's probably a half day beforehand and a half day when we get home. So a whole day is lost through packing stuff, packing the car, driving somewhere, unpacking, and then when you leave the place, the reverse. So you just lose the ability to be spontaneous on things like that. The ability to just up and go and we're going away for the weekend.
Yeah, that spontaneity, the spontaneity holidays are long gone as well. You can't just, on a Thursday night or Friday morning go, hey, we've got a free weekend, let's get away somewhere. Yeah, like you said, the planning that needs to go into a holiday with a kid or, a couple of kids takes a lot of planning. And it even determines your holiday destinations as well on having kids. So gone are the days where, for instance, when Kim and I both lived in Melbourne and her family was obviously in Brisbane, it'd be so easy just to duck up to Brisbane Friday night, back Sunday afternoon. But with kids these days, a Friday night flight may not be fantastic because, that time of the night is terrible for kids. So you either want to go the Saturday morning or the Friday morning, which means time's off work. If you go the Saturday morning, you're really losing, a bit more time in travel there of where you'd be spending at your destination. So it really does reduce where you can go.
Yeah, well, it's funny. My sister on Friday were upping and taking her two girls and the husband were going to Thailand, and I texted her at about 1 o'clock on Friday. I hope you have a good holiday. I hope you have a good time. Those sort of things. I get a text message back. Even driving to the airport was an effing nightmare. They had a flight at 2:30, 9-hour flight to Thailand. So they would have been arriving the equivalent of sort of midnight Australian time, plus probably an hour to transfer, get set up in the room. You're not probably going to bed until maybe 1 a.m. Australian equivalent with two girls under 4.
And that's if the two girls under 4 fall straight asleep when they get there. They'll probably be wired and amped. So then maybe there's another hour, 2 hours possibly.
My brother-in-law a few weeks ago when we caught up for Easter was like, "Oh, it's a really good age to fly, I think." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, mate, whatever you reckon." So really looking forward to the feedback when they get home, because even getting to the airport wasn't great. So I only hazard a guess at how bad the flight may have been.
Yeah, ask him that question when he gets back and see what the response is. It'd be interesting to hear.
Even like something as easy as going out for dinner's harder now. Like you Friday nights and Saturday nights, you go, let's just go for dinner, whatever. Bottle of wine, spontaneous. Let's just go out, have something to eat, a bottle of wine for dinner, and you kind of roll on home. Can't remember the last time I did that since I've had a kid. It doesn't happen very often.
I think leaving the house in general is just that is amplified to what it normally is. And for anyone who has kids will know exactly what I'm talking about, and anyone who doesn't, enjoy it while you can, because even to go down to Woolies or Coles or wherever, you've got to take, if it's a young kid, it's the nappy bag, it's the bottle if you're out longer than expected, it's the backpack with spare change of clothes, etc. And it's not like just you can pick up and go. You for 20 minutes, half an hour before you leave, you're organising all this stuff to get out, and then it turns what potentially for a person by themselves or two people, maybe a half an hour task into maybe an hour and a half. My brother today, who was at this party, and they've just had they've got a 4-month-old. He said, "Never expect me on time again." And I said, "Yep, absolutely. Welcome to the club."
We end up packing the night before. Like if you're going to try to go out at any point the next day, like the little fella's got a bit of a sniff today, so we think he might be getting a cold. So he's probably not going to go to his kindery thing tomorrow morning, but we've already packed his stuff for his thing tomorrow because he has to be at a certain place in the morning at like sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So to be organised and be able to feed him, get him changed, be able to do X and do Y to even make something at 8:30 or 9 o'clock is really difficult with the kid. Sometimes they're removable objects in the morning. They just want to do X and they just want to do Y, and they often just won't do what they're told. So you have to be really organised in advance so you can kind of allow for 15 minutes of, I'm not going to brush my teeth. No teeth brushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing there on air travel as well is, when you have kids, your airline experience or your airplane experience really dramatically changes from, getting a good 2 hours to yourself. If it's an overseas trip, you might have a couple of drinks, watch a movie or two. But when kids come on board, that just goes out the window completely. Like, it's okay now because Eloise, I've just flown with her recently and she's turning 4 today. And she's okay now. She'll put the headphones on and she'll watch something on the iPad and you'll get that, hour and a half to do something. But any younger than that, we've traveled with the kids and you are just on them the whole time. If they can't concentrate on the TV or do something, then you're constantly trying to, entertain them so they're not kicking the seat in front of you, ringing the bells on the on the armrests and things like that. So I really enjoyed going to China. That was one of the biggest highlights, was sitting on that plane for 8 hours and just kicking.
Yeah, the holiday itself was but yeah, the flight was fantastic. You have to put up with anything and just kick back and watch a couple of movies and have a couple of Jim Beams and Coke, I think, was the poison of choice, wasn't it, Matthew?
It was 8 hours of bliss.
Well, Ryan, if you are listening wherever you are in the world, and you're en route to Germany at the moment, but when you do listen to this, make the most of your trip home, because if you're doing this again when you have kids, it's not going to be the same.
No, it's not.
Even at the dinner thing, like just being able to just choose to go out for dinner. Like, I was listening to radio maybe a month ago, and they were talking about Brendan Favola, who's an ex-AFL footballer and is on the radio here in the morning, and what his Uber Eats bill was for a whole year. And it was the best part of 30 grand, which is flipping ridiculous. But at the same time, they've got 3 kids. They're not probably going out for dinner that often. So everything is Menulog and Deliveroo and Uber Eats have been a godsend, because you can actually still get a fairly decent amount of options and a decent amount of foods delivered to your door, as opposed to, being able to go out and, I guess, sample different things as well. So you can still have, I guess, some kind of takeaway and enjoy that aspect of things, but not in a restaurant, at home, maybe in your pajamas after the kid's gone to bed.
Yeah, we've just jumped on that wagon as well, the Uber Eats. So we, like you, Kane, don't get out as much as we did. We might get Kim's parents to sort of babysit the kids every now and then. We'll get out, but like that might be once every 2 or 3 months. So Uber Eats for us has opened up our world to weekend dining again. So, but like you said, it's just in our pajamas in front of the TV, but it's it's that chance to get a restaurant to come to you effectively.
Exactly. And the other part of that is you'd often go out for drinks with other people, or you'd have dinner with another couple or something like that. So you'd arrange a social aspect of these things as well. A lot of that disappears, or it changes when you have kids as well, in that you may lose contact with certain people who don't have kids. You maybe have a little bit less in common if you're you end up catching up with people and all you do is just talk about your kid for half the conversation, and they're like, I have a kid. I don't really care if your kid had a dump in the bath. Your whole relationship with some of your friends can change as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm lucky enough that most of my friends do have kids, but the ones that don't have kids, I try to make a point not to speak about the kids, because, like you said, they don't care. I don't want to bore them with what my kids are doing. So I sort of save that for the ones that do have kids. But talk about social changes there as well, Kane, and that's a big one, because this is for maybe new parents coming onto the scene. So they might have had a very active social life in terms of going out for drinks after work or socialising on weekends, and that really does come to a standstill when the kids come along. So I was quite actively social or socially active before we had Mia. But yeah, when she came along, I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking. Not that I was a heavy drinker, but the Friday night drinks stopped and the Saturday night drinks stopped. And yeah, your world really does change, but it's for the better.
Yeah, it is. And we're picking out all the bad things about having children, and I'm sure there's some good aspects as well, which I can't think of right now, but I'm sure there are.
I'll jump in with a good one, because I did put some thought into this. And I think I have changed for the better in terms of putting the kids first in pretty much everything, I think. So, it can be from an example of today where, and this is probably just a silly example, but the kids wanted eggs on toast, and I haven't had eggs on toast all week. And, there wasn't enough eggs for everybody to have the eggs on toast, but I will always give up mine for them to have theirs. So, whatever puts a smile on the kid's face, whether it be they're nagging you to go for a bike ride and you've got something you need to do, or they just want to play with you or do something, I'll always put that first, and I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, you're right. I at 9:15 on Friday morning, when I was looking after the little fella, which is going notionally work time, I was chasing him up and down the hallway of the house, dressed up as Incredibunny, chasing him, who I think he was Owlette from PJ Masks. So yeah, you just do things which entertain them. And you're right. I think kids can definitely make you a better person. And I even find myself looking at other people's kids and just smiling now as well? You kind of maybe appreciate children and their quirks and, you know, the way they act when you have your own as well.
You do, yeah. Yep. And you're an uncle, aren't you?
Yes.
You got 2 nieces in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've just recently become an uncle to my brother's kid, and then also Kim's brother-in-law has a child as well. So there's another aspect of you know, enjoying kids and smiling at kids, because you get to not only to your own kids, but then you get to become a role model to other people's kids as well. So, you know, you get to spend a lot of time with them and put a smile on their face, and then also your own kids' face, and watching them all play together is just, there's nothing better than that. Kids' laughter is it's very infectious.
Yeah, no, great. Now, did you, just on those sort of things and how children affect us, did you find you were more or less motivated at work when kids came along? Because I know this can go one of two ways. Like men especially can be either really motivated to, okay, I've got to provide for this kid, I'm going to, you know, work like this and work like that so I can, you know, provide for them financially. Or there's the other sort of, I guess, providing, which is maybe being less motivated in I guess, what you want to do with your career and your job or your business or whatever you do, and spending more time with the kids. Did you find you were less or more motivated at work?
Yeah, I was probably the latter. I was probably more motivated to spend time with the kids. So I guess that might come from my dad spent a lot more time on the other side, like motivated to work harder to provide, you know, more things for us, which perhaps at the time when we were kids, we didn't really appreciate that or understand that. And maybe the time would have been better spent. And he's even said that himself. He said he wished he had spent more time at home with us. But in his point of view, he was probably doing the best thing that, you know, he thought he could be doing in working harder to provide for us. Yeah, so that's why I think maybe like you said, the latter of the two being
you're more motivated
to spend time. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been much the same, I guess. I've kind of, I don't say parked, but I haven't really tried to grow what I'm doing now. I've kind of got a lifestyle business in inverted commas now where I can kind of mold what I do around the kid. So I'm really lucky to be able to do that. But at the same time, it was a conscious choice where I could have gone, okay, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing and, you know, focus on the business. But I found myself less motivated to do that and more motivated to spend time with the little fella.
Yeah, we're sort of doing that at home as well. So Kimmy's reevaluating her work hours at the moment, and to where she can maybe start a bit earlier and finish earlier so she can pick the kids up, take them for a bike ride in the afternoon and things like that. And I'm even going to be starting to look at if I can finish earlier myself and do the same thing. So just to get that extra few hours during the week, because when it comes to the weekends, because there's all these other activities and you're running around a lot, you don't get as much one-on-one time as you might like. And at the moment, the sun's, you know, going down by 5:30, so you're really not getting any extra time after the daycare pickup at 5 o'clock. So to find those extra hours if you can, is really important.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, I know you quite like your music, and I quite like my music. Is there things that changed since you had a kid who, you know, kind of liked their own music? What do you find you listen to these days, mate?
At the moment, and it's been going on for months now.
And what did you used to listen to?
Oh, look, I used to listen to a lot of, back when I was younger, I used to love Blink-182, and I love a little bit of Coldplay as well. Big fan of those boys. But in the moment, I don't listen to commercial radio at all. It's either the Play School CD at the moment, and there's 3 or 4 songs on there that just get repeated out of 30. And if it's not that, in Kim's car, it's the Frozen soundtrack. And I have, stupidly, gotten the girls to listen to that All the Small Things song by Blink-182, because it's one of the only ones that doesn't have swearing in it. But the problem is there's a line in there that says, work sucks, I know. And that the girls just repeat that all the time through the house, and I'm worried they're going to start saying it at school. So I've had to say that I've lost that CD. So we're back to Play School.
I feel your pain.
That is a big change.
Yeah, I'm much the same. I used to listen to a lot of music. It used to be a way I'd kind of wind down or amp up, or I'd use it to, you know, as a thing. It was like an everyday thing. At work, I'd sit there for 8 hours a day with sort of headphones in and just listen to music to focus. So it was a really big thing for me. And I'm much the same now. There's 6 CDs in our car, like which are Wiggles and the Muppets CD. Went through a Muppets phase, like what else is in there? Giggle. Did I mention Giggle and Hoot? I think they're in there. There's a tax PD CD, which he calls boring CD, because this guy's talking about tax legislation changes. And I said to him yesterday, mate, took him out up to Mark, and he's like, I go, what do you want to listen to, mate? He goes, boring CD. I've gone, are you sure? He goes, yes, I want boring CD. So he just picks random stuff. And I had a friend, because we have a Spotify account, and I shared playlists with people sort of pre-kids, and I have a couple of people who follow me, because I actually write a blog each week, which takes music lyrics. And so people kind of check in and check my Spotify list. And I had a few people say to me, what have you been listening to? You've gone from listening to sort of, cool music, or, what I'd say is cool music, to all this kids music. Like, what's Puff the Magic Dragon? So, like, it's, man, movies, TV, music, all the things which you'd use traditionally to sort of unwind, it changes completely.
And the thing in my case is, like, I went all through this with Mia, all those, Wiggles, Play School, Frozen, and now I'm going through with Eloise. And then in 2 or 3 years' time, when Sam gets a bit older and can choose music, I'm going to go through with him again. It's going to be 9 years of me listening to the same crap. So I tell you,
I used to be able to name sort of 10 or 15 Hawthorn football players. I reckon I probably got 2 or 3 at the moment, but I could probably name every dog in Paw Patrol.
I'm exactly the same. Yeah. It's funny.
Man. And then part of that is the adult conversations as well. When you go out, you catch up with people who've got kids. You don't end up having a conversation with the adults anyway. It's kind of a half split. Oh, hey, yeah, how's work? Oh, wait, I just got to get my kid. He's just about to jump off the slide. Like, this conversation with adults doesn't exist anymore. This is about the most adult conversation I have on a weekly basis.
And then you end up saying there, we'll have to catch up soon for, but then you're going to have the kids anyway, so it's going to round around and it goes again. So you never really get that, adult conversation.
Man, when the kids are actually around, there's just no conversation. It's probably the same with your partners as well. Like, you end up just talking about kids constantly instead of maybe what's going on in the world or, things like that. The conversation just even at home's completely different.
Yeah, and even some messages during the day. It's all about the kids. It's no other content really.
Yeah, it's 24/7. It's like it's 24/7 kids.
What will we do when they're all grown up? I mean, is it going to be boring? Who knows?
Well, I might be able to listen to Blink-182 again and the songs which have swear words in them. That's the other thing. You can't swear that much anymore.
No,
we have to tone it down around the kids, and when they go to sleep, it's just every third word's maybe an F-bomb. Get out of
when I go to sleep, I secretly put the Metallica on in my headphones.
Big changes.
What other changes have we got?
Well, relationships with people. You found your relationship with your partner's changed? Like, and I know this is the right way of framing this. Like, in that you find somebody, you fall in love with them, you marry them, you have a kid, and then inevitably you probably both, if you're honest, end up loving the kid more than the partner. Like, your relationship changes when you have a kid, in that you still love each other, but that kid gets all the focus and a lot of the love as well. So it's maybe a slightly different relationship you have after having a child, in that a lot of the love is devoted to the kid.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, you sort of love investment, I guess, sort of changes from the partner to the child, I guess. And that is there. That's completely true. Especially with all the kids, I guess. But your first one is you invest heavily in those in the first one. I think the love's always going to be there for the partner.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not saying that disappears. I'm just saying it ends up being a bit different.
Yeah, it does get different, and I think that's because by the time you actually it sort of touches on the conversations with your partner as well. By the time you've spent the whole day with the kid, and you get to the end of the day, you just want to put your feet up and relax, and maybe you're not getting as much time with the partner. Obviously you're not getting as much time as the partner used to have, and it can be hard to sort of maintain, a healthy relationship 24/7 with the partner, because there's so much other stuff going on that your mind's focused on.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way of putting it. It is just that the time you spend with them is a different type of time and maybe a different quality of time. And that's a really important thing to try to maintain if you are about to have a kid or you've just recently had a kid, is to actually try to make some time to have like conversations which maybe don't involve just children stuff, and relaxing together, maybe try to find a mutual hobby you can do, which doesn't need too much into too much of the time that you spend with the kid as well.
Yeah, I think probably some advice there would be maybe to, if you can, as parents, try and get away every now and then, to leave the place of where the kids and you are living, obviously, to somewhere else, just so there's nothing in the back of your mind. You're not walking around seeing washing or other tasks you think need to be done. You can just clear your mind of the kids. You can focus on one another and just get back to why it was you fell in love. And you'll find that you pick up where you left off, and you discuss a wide range of topics that you may not even get a chance to at home. And you just come back so refreshed with, we always come back refreshed with plans of how we're going to tackle things, in the next couple of months. And it's great. I can't emphasize enough how good little weekend getaways are.
Yeah, those date nights, those scheduled sort of date night things, which people laugh and joke about as parents, of actually having a date, they're really important to be able to, like you mentioned, escape and kind of recollaborate and recalibrate what you're doing as well. I guess part of that, with that different sort of relationship which changes as well, maybe your sex life changes a bit. Well, obviously, it maybe changes a bit when you maybe move in together and those sort of things. But after having a kid, you're tired generally pretty tired all the time. There's so many different things to do, and things like sex kind of take a back seat. And I don't mean the back seat of the car, I just mean a back seat.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. You go from a lot to not much, and that's no fault on either the man or the woman or the whoever. It's just like you said, time's a big issue. By the time you've done everything that needs to be done, got the kids ready for school for the following week, there really isn't a lot of time for it. And if there is time, maybe you want to be doing other things.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time left to do it after you've done everything else.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, it's kind of wholesale changes to a lot of things, but at the same time, like we mentioned before, I wouldn't swap any of it. Like you have we have a little boy, and he was quite annoying this afternoon. Like he didn't want to do anything; he just wanted to do X and want to do Y. He's quite obstructional. But then after he had his dinner, he's like running around strumming a guitar and like his little fake guitar and singing and dancing and stuff, and you just laugh uncontrollably at it because it's hilarious. So for all the changes, and we've discussed a lot of things which are probably people would perceive as negative changes, but they're a choice as well. Like we chose to have a child, and we knew that there would be lots of changes, and then it's the little things which bring a kind of smile to your face and light up your day, which are the little things are the good things.
Yeah, they really are priceless. And I think, the life you used to have before having a kids, it was as good as it might have been. That sort of chapter closes and the new one opens up with the kids into it. And you, like you said, you would not swap it for the world, because they do something magically every single day, whether it annoy you, whether it, make you smile, laugh, cry, whatever it may be. And you wouldn't swap that for anything.
Yeah, and every time I listen to this podcast, I smile at the start of it when your girls are doing the introduction, and I smile at the end of it when my little fella's doing the outro.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I think we'd almost do a part 2 of this, because I could think of another probably list of changes which have happened since we had our little fella. But for this week, that about wraps it up. Do subscribe to Daddy It's Last on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review. Tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys or if they're about to have a kid, because things are going to change. Most of all, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode, or should I say serving, of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.